This is IntoMath. Welcome to grade 6, lesson 3. We're talking about comparing fractions and the main properties of fractions. Let's look at simple fractions first, how they're being formed, and what is the process of getting into to a simple fraction. So, if I have a fraction 1 over 2, 1/2, it cannot be simplified any further. This is a simple fraction. If I have a fraction 2 over 4, this fraction can be simplified further. We call that process reducing the fraction. Reducing the fraction means to divide both the numerator, the top number, and the denominator, the bottom number, by the same greatest common factor of the two numbers. The greatest common factor in this case is 2. So I will divide both of these numbers by 2, which will give me 1 over 2. So essentially, 1/2 and 2/4 are the same thing because I can reduce 2/4 to 1/2. These two fractions are called equivalent fractions. One fraction can be reduced into the other. Those fractions are equivalent fractions. Say we want to compare two fractions, 3/5 and 1/3. How do I know which one is greater if their denominators are not the same, their whole parts are not the same? I need to bring these two fractions to the common denominator. We call that bringing the fractions to the least common denominator or lowest common denominator. In order for me to do that, I need to find the least common multiple of the two denominators at hand. 5 and 3. The least common multiple that I can think of is 15. Now, I need to multiply 5 by something to get 15 and 3 by something to get 15. 5 times 3, 3 times 5. When I do something to the denominator, I need to do the same operation to the numerator in order to keep my fractions balanced. So here I'll get 9 over 15, and here I'll get 5 over 15. Which fraction is greater now? Can you compare? Yes, because their denominators are the same. So now I can simply look at their numerators. Whichever numerator is greater, that fraction is a greater fraction. Sometimes we want to compare mixed numbers. If two mixed numbers have the same whole part, ignore the wholes and just compare the fractions. Find the least common denominator and compare the numerators. If the whole parts are different, then you need to convert each fraction into improper fraction. 3 times 2 plus 1 is 7 over 2. And then 4 times 4 is 16 plus 3 is 19 over 4. And then determine the least common denominator of the two fractions. In this case, it's 4. So 4 here times 2 times 2, and then nothing really changes here. So I'm multiplying by 1 and by 1. So this numerator becomes 14. This numerator remains the same. So which fraction is greater, or which mixed number is greater? The 19 over 4, 1, or 4 and 3/4. Thanks for being with me again. I hope you enjoyed the lesson and you now need to do some practice. I will see you in grade 6, lesson 4.